Alright, hello guys. So in today's video, I am actually painting my graduation cap and I decided to film it as a speed paint since this is quite an unusual surface for me to be painting and I just wanted to document this process and the fact that I've graduated high school. In this video, by the time I'm doing the voiceover for this, it's been about a week since I've graduated, and by the time I upload it, it'll probably be a week and a half to 2 weeks since I've graduated high school. I'm not going to give you this big, long speech of, oh, me and my high school career, quote unquote career, and like telling you how great my high school's been and documented in that way. I want to talk more about the art because one of the bigger things about high school for me has been my art journey throughout high school, so I figure it's only fitting to do art on the cap. And also, it's been about my OCs, which are my original characters that I create, because original characters have really just always helped me cope and stuff with the world because I create the type of characters that are the type of people I wish I could know in the real world and the type of people and personalities that I like, and I put the things that I love into my original characters. So I'm just always thinking about them when I'm at school, when I'm at home, just always. So I was like, what is more fitting to put on this cap than them? So I'm going to try and talk about what I'm doing as I speed paint it and just be a little bit rambly because I thought that would be interesting. And I want to do more speed paints, obviously, on this channel because that's one of the main things I want to get back into because I used to be exclusively an art channel and then I decided I had more hobbies than just art. But art is still one of the main things I want to focus on here since I really want to grow my art so that I can eventually turn my art hobby into a career, which is what I'm going to college to do. So after high school, which I finished, I'm going to be going to college for art. And after that, the goal is pretty much to either get a job in the industry or to make it as a self-employed artist is the word I was looking for. So what you first saw me do in this clip, rant aside, is paint the cap, and I painted it rainbow colors because I thought nothing was more fitting than me painting the cap rainbow colors. Then after that, it quickly cuts to, you'll see, this is my OC Frost on screen right now, and it quickly cuts to him, all sketched and all inked, and I'm coloring him in because I originally tried to film me sketching and inking it, but instead of filming it as a speed time lapse using my iPhone, I accidentally filmed it in slow mo, and because I accidentally filmed it in slow mo, that of course means that it was so slow that I could not use the footage and I couldn't even upload it or import it to try and speed it up because it took too long because it was like an hour long footage. And trying to import that into any app just wouldn't work, so I had to cut that. Right now I'm coloring in his hair. So Frost has blonde hair, and the reason I chose to do Frost for this is because I chose to do my OCs Frost and Myra, and I chose to put them on my graduation cap because they're the only two OCs that I have that only graduated high school and never went on to college out of the main cast of characters that I've been working on recently. So I do have two casts of OCs. I have my Mike Olson cast of OCs. If you don't know who Mike and Olson are, please ask in the comments below and I'll give you a more in-depth explanation. But I have all the characters from that story, and then I have all my characters from my creature universe, and what my creature universe is basically just a universe where monsters and humans coincide together, and I'm actually writing a full-on novel and series of novels based on the creature universe. And Frost and Myra are part of that universe, and since in the last 2 or 3 years I've been really working on developing that, so almost my entire high school career I've been working on developing the creature story more. I thought it was only fitting to put two characters from the creature story on there since that sums up my college ness with OCs. College ness. That sums up my high school ness with OCs. Sorry, I'm getting high school and college confused because those are the two things that you graduate from. But I haven't been to college yet. I'm only graduated high school. So right now what you'll see me doing is I grabbed a brown marker and I actually used that to do the dark areas on Frost's hair so that it looks like the lighter color that I used as a base is actually the shine. And then I colored in Frost's eyes. Frost has two green glowing eyes because this character is actually a shapeshifter, which means that they can shapeshift into various different forms. And this creature is one that I created myself, and it's called a no form creature because they are born without any distinct identifiable form, and then they use their shapeshifting abilities to optionally shapeshift into other forms. But the catch is that these creatures, like Frost, can only shapeshift if they have like a memory of the things. So they can only shapeshift into things that they've seen before. And this character is very much still human and is considered to be human and have human cognitive and thinking. They're just not humans. They're like a creature character, but they have the same brain and mind as a human. So they're not treated as like monsters essentially. That's why I call them creatures, because they're just non-humans that have the same capacity as one, kind of like vampires, werewolves would have the same capacity as a human, but not be human. And then I colored in the entire outfit in red because that coincides with the school colors for the characters from the universe that they're in. Because they go to a regular, like, school in this universe. It's kind of like Harry Potter in that way, where it's like they're wizards, but they go to a regular school and all that. They do go to regular schools in this because in my story, it states that the creatures basically took on the lives of humans because they were very inspired by humans and the way that humanity developed. Kind of like how in Onward they're very human like and they do all the things that humans do, but they're not humans. In this universe, though, it actually makes a bit more sense because all the creature characters throughout history were inspired by humans and were always brought up in my universe to live up to the standards of humans. And because they were brought up in my universe to live up to the standards of humans, it obviously means they're going to follow in the humans' footsteps because humans are seen as the larger my majority. Sorry, I majority minority. Humans are seen as the larger majority in this universe, so it's what the creatures are often always put on the weight of their shoulder to strive up to and live up to humans because humans are seen as more desirable majorities, whereas creatures are seen as minorities. And there's actually like a whole thing that's going to come of that in my story that I don't want to spoil outright. I don't want to spoil outright. I'm just trying to explain like the logistics of this, why like I'm telling you that he's not human but he looks human and all that stuff. So here I am actually cutting it out. I decided that it would be easier to draw Frost, which is the name of this character, to draw my OC Frost on like this mixed media paper that I have, mixed media marker esque paper. It's really good for markers, but it's not good for watercolor. But like this marker basically on the marker paper and then cut him out delicately and glue him on. I actually hot glued him with a hot glue gun. You can see right there, those are my glue sticks for the hot glue gun. So I end up gluing him onto this with a hot glue gun because that's what I overheard another girl saying would work really well in the graduation cap because we were doing like a practice run for graduation and I overheard her talking to her friend about how she was gluing stuff on to her graduation cap with a hot glue gun. So I was like, perfect, that's what I'll do when I get home. And I glued Frost onto there. You can see he looks really good. I'm really happy with how he turned out on this. And you can see me just trying to glue down the last bits of him right there. And I don't know what I'm doing in this clip. There's a bunch of nothingness going on right now, but that's okay. Then you can see I pull out my Posca pens because I decided to add a little bit of design right onto this. I'm using the black one because I decided to add words onto this. So right there I'm writing June 4th, 2022. That is the date that I graduated because I thought I must put the date I graduate. That's iconic. My mom actually did give me the idea to put the date I graduated, but I probably would have done that anyway. Then here I'm writing the quote that I decided to put on my graduation cap. Most people steal their quotes off the internet, particularly Pinterest, but me, I came up with my own quote as a writer myself. And this quote says, if you've done nothing else with your life, at least you've graduated, because I feel like nothing sums up my high school years than doing absolutely nothing at all and sitting in my bedroom doing nothing. Even right now, while most of my friends are getting jobs and most of my friends are living their life and trying to actually be adults, I'm still sitting in my bedroom doing nothing all summer. I am going to try and eventually get my license this summer because I'm 18 and I still don't have it. Speaking of doing nothing, but yeah, I'm going to work towards that, and I'm also working towards the goal of turning my art into a career because I figure if I'm going to go to college for art and I'm going to graduate with that degree, I really better start sooner rather than later because self-employment, people who turn their hobbies into their career really have to start as early as possible in order to develop that. So I'm working on that this summer. Mostly that and my writing because my fail safe if being an artist fails is going to be being a writer, and I might just be self-employed writer without any actual degree with that. And the reason I'm not getting a writing degree is literally just because I know that if I was going to be a writer, I don't think I'd want to be an editor, even though theoretically I could, but I'd need a degree to be an editor. But I think I would just self publish at that point, or at least try and write my own books. As a failsafe, if my art failed, but I don't really think my art should fail, and I always thought that my art and my writing coincided anyway, so yeah. Alright, now we see that I have another white blank piece of paper, rant about my life aside. Another white blank piece of paper right now because I'm about to sketch something on it. The reason I haven't sketched something yet is because I am probably looking on Pinterest for a reference photo of the pose because I always use Pinterest or otherwise for reference photos for literally everything because I cannot come up with reference poses off out of my head. I just can't do it. I used to at one point have the ability to come up with reference poses out of my head, but I can't really do it that much anymore. Usually the only time I come up with reference poses out of my head that aren't based off Pinterest stuff is when I'm doing a full-on illustration and I have an idea in my head prior to making the illustration. But when I just sit down and I'm like, I want to draw XYZ character and I don't have an idea in my head for what I'm going to draw him in, it's always a reference off Pinterest. So we see me starting to sketch out my next character, which is my OC Myra, who is actually a Cyclops creature. We see me starting to sketch her out. I just keep sketching and sketching. I don't have much to say about the sketching process. Ooh, I'm putting on her graduation cap. So my OC Myra, I guess I'll rant about them instead, is actually one of my characters that holds on to the fact that they graduated high school to a very high degree. In the story I'm writing, they often mention, because I'm writing a story about this particular character at the moment, they often mention quite regularly their high school days, and mind you, they're 28 and they graduated high school at 18, so they pretty much never um, lived past their high school days and they never got over the fact that all they did was graduate high school. My OC Myra, she wanted to, her pronouns are she, her, she wanted to go on to college but never got that chance because, like I said, monster or not monsters, creatures are considered the minority, and she actually is a Cyclops, and in my universe, they're a major minority, so they're not liked pretty much by anyone, even some other ones, because a majority creature would be like a vampire, because I feel like vampires are human-esque enough, but Cyclopses don't look anything like a human. They have green skin. They're nothing like that. So she's actually considered a larger minority character, and because of that, she never got the chance to go on to college and was basically denied that chance in this universe society. By the way, this society takes place, or universe takes place, in modern day to a little bit in the future, like 2025, a few years in the future to modern day, because the first story takes place in 2020, and then the preceding stories are like 5 years later, so that would be like 2025. So, yeah. Um, she never gets to go to college like she wanted, so she holds in high degree the fact that she graduated high school. And I really respect that for this character. I don't know why I would say I respect that, but this character just basically constantly references to their constantly references to their high school days because they never, pretty much, they never moved past graduating high school. We all had, I feel like in real life, we all know certain people who like graduate high school and that is the peak of their achievements in life, and they still, like 50 years down the road, reference all their high school achievements. Myra is one of those characters who her biggest achievements in life were getting straight A's in high school and graduating high school and being successful in high school. And then after that, her successes kind of died down. And a lot of her story actually deals with that and a lot of her mental health through that because it's actually a sad existence when high school is the peak of your existence because it means you pretty much never moved forward past that. And to not move forward past that is actually quite toxic for your mental health because it means you stop developing and you stop having new experiences and new achievements in your life. And Mara definitely shows that within her character. Another thing I guess I could add here while I'm coloring in the green skin is that I decided to give my OC Myra in this a hairstyle with two braided hairs. So on each side of her head, she has two braids, and then it's like a waterfall braid with two braids coming down from the waterfall on each side of her head. And then the rest of her brown hair is just long and wavy because couldn't decide whether to give her braids or long hair, so I decided to do both. Wow, I'm so creative. Then I color in her little scrunchies in blue and pink because my OC Myra and my OC Frost both have a very kawaii, Harajuku-esque aesthetic style. Because in my universe, in the creature universe, creatures, in their culture, they have a lot of like cutesy, kawaii, outrageous aesthetics, with them, whereas humans are more like calm and they wear like the Nikes, like all the popular human stuff of today they wear. But the creatures have more like big, bold aesthetics and wild things. Pretty much like a big Pinterest aesthetic is their entire culture, because I thought that looked different. Here you can see that I'm gluing on Myra, which is almost the end of the video. Um, So you can see that I glue her down like I did Frost. And then I wrote SVA because SVA, School of Visual Art in New York, is actually the college that I'm going to. So I decided to put my college on it, and I'm just writing a few more things, and now pretty much it is over.